Round 4 of ABBFormula E Season 6 took us to Mexico City, a circuit that over the past few seasons has delivered some absolutely cracking races. Last year, the closest Formula E finish of all time. Iconic scenes of the Grassi just overtaking Pascal Wehrlein centimetres before the finish flag. Would this year live up to the hype? Let's check it out in today's highlights.
We go green in Mexico City. It's a reasonable start from Lotter. If anything, Nick De Vries has got a good getaway and he's trying to find the inside line. Evans is through, is he? There's going to be contact. Lotter is sent off in the Porsche turn 1. Nico Muller in the black and white Dragon goes to the outside and sweeps around the outside. He's in the wall.
Berg's looking like he's making a move.
Whoa, sends it, flies one into the stadium section. Lotterer has got some advertising attached to him.
Oh, another smoke.
And he's got front wing problems. Lotterer's done.
And the drivers behind are completely blind in that smoke.
Oh, De Vries is closing the door aggressively. Now he's locked up massively. Oh, and he's into France. Oh, Robin France caught out.
Look at the front. It won't stop.
Oh,
Berg's off. Yeah, got
on
white.
The marbles in the wall. One of the most dominant races in the history of the championship. Mitch Evans wins in Mexico City.
Yes! This is how it's done, mate. Superb drive.
Thank you, as always, to Formula E for sending over today's highlights. As always, you can check out all of their links, social media, website, whatever, in the description. Race review time. That wasn't bad, was it? That was not bad at all. I cannot believe Season 6 is just continuing to be ridiculously good. Not only is this circuit proven to be one of the best on the Formula E calendar, even with the tweaks this year, I think made it even better, but Season 6 in general, we thought Season 5 was good. I think so far, Season 6 is perhaps even better. If you're new around here and you've not come across one of my Formula E reviews before, we go through quali, we do a race rundown, and then we have a look at the championship. It's all very clear, concise, but we need to dissect this race as best we can. So, where best to start than qualifying? And as you can see from the order, Porsche, their first ever pole position courtesy of Andre Lotterer, his second in his Formula E career, and funnily enough, the first time he was on pole position was in Rome last year, and on that very same occasion, he shared the front row with Mitch Evans, who got pole position last time out in Santiago. So straight away, this race was being set up to almost be a little bit similar to last year's Rome E-Prix, but also we had plenty of drivers in the hunt for this victory. Pascal Wehrlein, who qualified third, he had a big fat penalty, a juicy penalty, both Mahindras having to take 2 power units this race, meaning they had so many penalties, they both had to do stop and go penalties during the race and grid penalties. It was a bit insane, but sometimes Formula E penalties are a bit insane. Unfortunately, that's one of the downsides to the sport. So that elevated rookie Nick De Vries up into P3, Sebastian Buemi P4, and Sam Bird, who was in Group 1 qualifying, getting through to Super Pole. Fair play. That's got to be one of the qualifying performances of the season. Okay, Super Pole didn't go quite as planned, but just getting from Group 1 into Super Pole, that is so difficult in Formula E. So I've got to take my hat off to him. Other notable drivers during qualifying, Nico Muller in the Dragon up in P8, started the race P7. That was a mighty effort from the Swiss rookie. Didn't expect that one this weekend. I thought he'd be quite impressive over the season, but I didn't think he'd quite pick it up as quickly as I think he is. First couple of weekends were a little bit disappointing, but already, and we'll get onto his race a little bit later on, I think there's signs there that Dragon might have found a little bit of a gem of a driver in Nico Muller, but still, that's yet to be completely seen, so we'll talk about that a little bit later on. P9 and P10, the two Techeetah cars, championship leader Van Dorn P11, and the two BMWs, Sims P20, Gunter P18. A mixed up grid, but let's be honest, we're used to that in the world of Formula E. Oliver Turvey had issues during qualifying, so he started down in P23. And Daniel Abt, special mention to Daniel Abt this weekend. Big crash in first practice. Went to the hospital to get checked up because it was a very heavy incident. Missed Practice 2, missed qualifying, but came back for the race. Special mention because that was a mighty effort from Daniel to get racing. The stage was set. Porsche, pole position, Evans in the Jaguar behind. What would unfold over the next 45 minutes? What happened? I think the best way to describe it, as most Formula E races, is a little bit of carnage and utter chaos. 14 classified finishers. Just that statistic alone really proves Formula E is unpredictable. But straight away, not even after the first sector, the first corner, pole sitter Andre Lotterer squeezed Mitch Evans into the wall a little bit extremely, but Lotterer is known for being a bit of an aggressive defender, but that caught him out. Evans gave him a bit of muscle back. Lotterer went onto the grass and fell back through the order. Nick de Vries managed to gain a couple of positions. It was utter carnage. And I would probably say it took a good 15 minutes or so for the race to really settle down and for us to be able to really analyse what drivers were going to be in the hunt for the victory, which drivers were really working their way through the field quick. And very quickly, I would say, it looked like the two Envision Virgin cars looked like they could have a real chance at the victory. Evans, who pretty much led after corner 1, he was gone. He literally checked out. And I think he learned a little bit from last weekend's Santiago E-Prix, because to be totally honest, it was a similar kind of scenario for him, leading a good chunk of the race. But what happened in Santiago used a little bit too much energy. Had to conserve late on, and that cost him a victory. And I think he learned that this time. So whilst he was comfortably in the lead, there wasn't a giant 15-second gap. It was always about 3 or 4 seconds. Nice and comfortable, nice and controlled. And spoiler alert, probably the easiest victory he will ever get in Formula E. Such a mature drive from Evans, and has just smacked himself straight into championship contention. It's still early doors. Jean-Eric Vergne last year didn't win, I believe, until round 7 of the series. So don't get too carried away just yet with championship predictions and all that glory. But it's a good start from Mitch Evans. Much, much better than previous seasons. His best start ever, I would say, in Formula E. And of course, leading the championship now, Jaguar, I believe, are up into P2 in the Constructors. It's looking good for him. It really is. But again, let's not get too carried away with that, because behind Evans, we had a bit of a mighty race. And it's going to take a long time to break it down. So here is your race order. I'm going to go through a little bit like I do with Formula 1, driver by driver. Of course, some of them had quite, I suppose, chaotic races, but we didn't see it all on the TV, so it is hard to analyse some of them, but for most of them, we can give it a good go. So Mitch Evans, again, dominant performance, easy. Checked out pretty much after turn 1. That's what you want. That's what drivers want to do in racing. Although they love racing, easy victories, they'll take them all day long. But like I mentioned, behind Evans, it was anyone's game, and eventually Antonio Felix da Costa, P2, his teammate down in P4. On paper, it looks like a really strong day for DS Techeetah. Of course, starting down in P9 and 10, it wasn't looking great, but we've seen last year and this year, their car in qualifying isn't all that. And again, you can take into account that qualifying with the group system, with Da Costa being quite comfortably high up in the championship. You didn't expect him to do amazing things in qualifying. So actually starting inside the top 10 wasn't awful. Started behind his teammate. And for the first half of the race, was with his teammate, was with Jean-Eric Vergne. Both of them using, I think, very smartly, using attack mode together. Of course, this weekend there were 3 uses of attack mode. They're trying to change it up a little bit this weekend, which was quite nice from Formula E. But early doors, working together really, really well, keeping out of trouble, slowly gaining positions. They were behind the 2 Virgin cars, De Vries, Evans, Buemi, but they were just managing their energy consumption, keeping out of the barriers, which quite a few drivers weren't able to do this weekend. Da Costa, however, was doing a super job of management of energy. Ultimately, Vergne let him through. And last time out, there was a little bit of fire between the 2 teammates in Santiago, so tensions were already fairly high in the garage. Da Costa goes through. And whilst he is gaining on them, putting the drivers under a bit of pressure, fighting Nick De Vries into turn 1, De Vries used fan boost and for whatever reason really struggles to slow the car down, whether that was some kind of issue, whether that was inexperience, I don't know. He slams right into the side of Robin Freins, both of them practically out on the spot. They kept going for a little bit, but not really. Not with any real pace. Both ultimately non-finishing. 2 easy places for Costa. Happy days for him. Then set his sights on Sebastian Buemi, who was holding P3 at the time. Team orders. Really, really messy team orders from Techeetah. Vern, who was in attack mode, should have been let through on the spot. Costa wasn't in attack mode. Costa with a bit of arguing, a little bit of back and forth, which you can understand after what happened in Santiago. Team should have been firm. They should have said, let Jev through, let him have a chance. They didn't, they left it too late. It then got super messy because then Costa was in attack mode and he needs to come back through. It wasn't nice to watch. And ultimately, Costa did overtake Buemi and ultimately fighting and hunting down Sam Bird. Bird made a slight mistake into the wall and threw away what would have been an insane second place from Group 1 qualifying in 6th on the grid. He was doing so well up until those late couple of laps. I think it was 4 minutes to go. Sam Bird into the wall. Costa P2, a great race in the end for him, but I feel it could have been 2 Techeetahs on the podium if it wasn't for that little bit of messing around and sillinesses on the strategy. Buemi was able to split the 2 Techeetahs. His first podium and first points of the season. Just a clean weekend for Seb. I didn't see him fighting too hard when cars were overtaking him, but I quite like that. He's got to understand that last year they had a good car, and on multiple occasions, through the team's fault and the driver's fault, they let points go. Especially in Mexico last year, where the team miscalculated energy management and both didn't finish with a few laps to go. So Seb, quiet, calm, controlled, 3rd place. That's a perfect way to get his points tally going. And I think that Nissan car is quite naughty. His teammate, a little bit further down in P7, Ollie Rowland, quiet weekend for him. Actually, while we're here, we might as well talk about Sims P5, Degrassi P6, Roland P7, Mortara P8. All of those drivers kept it clean. And we have seen so many times in Formula E, one of the biggest games, not only is management, but it's just staying calm and staying out of trouble. All of them, Sims in particular, starting all the way down in P18, qualified P20, to get up to P5 and get fastest lap. That's an absolutely ridiculously good effort. What a season he is having so far. What a turnaround from last year. Degrassi, likewise. We have seen him be so good at qualifying low down, which that's not what I'm saying he's good at, but qualifying low down and making it up in the race. He is super good at that. His experience really coming in handy. And P6, although Degrassi hasn't won yet this season, he's got a podium in the first weekend at Saudi Arabia. Apart from that, he's been really strong, just finishing in those mid-points positions. And we saw last year, if you can do that, if you can hold on long enough, you can really put yourself in championship contention. Roland and Mortara, some big points for them. Again, qualified fairly low down, kept it calm, kept it quiet, got the job done. And then thanks to penalties, the 2 Mahindras in the points. P9 and P10. That is ridiculous. That should not have happened in any way, shape or form. 40 place grid penalties with drive-through penalties and in the points. I just cannot even fathom the highs and lows this weekend for those 2 drivers. But a cracking effort from both of them to secure 3 points, which in the grand scheme isn't a fat lot. But when you're fighting nearer the bottom of the standings, which they are at the moment, big result for those 2. Just outside the points, last time's winner, Maxi Gunter, didn't really impress too much this weekend. Alex Sims, who started behind Gunter, ultimately finishing P5. Not too sure what happened to Max this weekend. Brendan Hartley finished P12, obviously still in his first season, but has still yet to really put any kind of impression, I would say, on the sport so far. Oliver Turvey, P13, and your final finisher, Neil Jarney, P14. Your non-finishers, James Collado and Robin Frines, disqualified after the race. No official statement on why just yet. I know, it's a pain. I'm sorry, but Formula E like to keep these things closed sometimes. It's, yeah, a little bit messy. And then you're just out-and-out non-finishers, didn't even make it to the flag. Van Dorn and Bird, who crashed very late on, both of them were having really strong races. But as I said, got to keep it cool for those 45 minutes, and late on, just let it go. Gutted for both of them. Daniel Abt, another one who I was gutted for because, like I said, missed qualifying, missed practice 2, and was having a strong race. Had a bit of a spin on the grass into turn 1. Whether that was some kind of issue on the car, not too sure. But ultimately, because of that incident, didn't finish. Gutted for him, but just happy that he was able to make it. I think that was really impressive from Daniel Abt. Mark Inquart finished behind him, then Nick De Vries. He was doing really well, just can't seem to catch a break at the moment. Nick De Vries, pole sitter Andre Lotterer, P22, how his race went up in smoke, almost literally. Gutted for him. He's another driver that just can't seem to catch a break after that podium in the first race of the season. Felipe Massa, his season's really failed to kick off so far. And Nico Muller, who I was so impressed with at the beginning of the race, tried to go around the outside of Nick De Vries into turn 1, was up into P5, into the barriers, and I was so gutted for him because I felt this was his real opportunity to put himself on the map in Formula E. Dragon, who have only got 2 points so far this season, and that was thanks to penalties in the first weekend of the year. Gutted for him. Ultimately, no points. But that is your race rundown. I'll try and speed this up a little bit because this is definitely going on a little bit longer than I thought, but Formula E this year just loves to make action absolutely everywhere. My 3 drivers of the day I have gone with for this weekend. Mitch Evans, of course, because, hey, we didn't even see him. In a good way, he checked out after turn 1. Fair play. Alex Sims, how he was able to get P5 and fastest lap this weekend is a bit ridiculous. And Antonio Felix da Costa, another podium, almost out of the blue, gotta be in the contention for driver of the day. Before we go, Constructors and Drivers' Championship time, and it's Mitch Evans who jumps to the top, 47 points, just 1 point in front of Alexander Sims. I've just realised the colours are not correct, so apologies for that. There's always one. But Evans is top. Sims P2. Da Costa now moves into P3 thanks to 2 podiums on the trot. Stoffel Van Dorn, from leading the championship, moves down to P4. De Grassi P5 and Sam Bird P6. What could have been this weekend. Ollie Rowland, as mentioned, hasn't done anything super flashy so far, but hanging in there in 7th in the standings. Maxi Gunter, his only points of the season was that win last time out in Santiago. Eduardo Mortara P9 and Andre Lotterer, thanks to his pole position this weekend, moves up to P10. Constructors' Championship looks like this. BMW still leading, a comfortable lead, but it's Jaguar who now move into P2. Mercedes drop back a little bit further in P3. Techeetah P4, Nissan P5, and the only team yet to score is Neo 333. That's your lot for this weekend's Mexico City E-Prix race review. The next race isn't that far away, just a couple of weekends' time. We return to Marrakesh. Last year, your winner, Jerome D'Ambrosio, after both BMWs crashed into each other. It should be a good one. If you're new around here and enjoyed today's episode, well, hopefully you did enjoy it. Thank you very much for watching. And if you want to keep up to date with all the Formula E news, race reviews, and all that good stuff, the subscribe button is down below. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and I hope to see you in the next one.